How's it going, guys? It's that time of the month. We're back with another video going over how much we've earned for the month of May, going through our options income, our dividend income, our total income, going through all the dividends that were paid, all the option income we earned, all the trades we did. As usual, end of the month, every single month, we're going to be going over this, and we'll continue to go over this until we get bored of it. But let's go ahead and get straight into it, looking into dividends. And the first one, as always, is OHI, which paid us $13.27. This is a quarterly paying stock ETF. And last quarter, it paid us $13.03. Once again, there's a quarterly paying ETF or stock. So this time we're getting $13.27. It's been in my portfolio for a while, so I'm just not selling out of it. I continue to hold it, and it's a little bit diversity in my portfolio. We also have Stag and Main. These two positions, if you do or do not know, I've sold out of. As you can see, since March, it's not been paying any dividends. So these positions are sold out of and are being reinvested into other positions. So we're going to go ahead and skip right into YieldMax ETFs. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and go into a different sheet. We're going to go ahead and look at another word sheet, another Excel sheet. We're going to go ahead and take a look at all the breakdowns and all the distributions we earned for every single YieldMax fund. So starting off with TSLY. At 475 shares, or 475.7143 shares owned in the month of May. As you can see, there's no increase from April. We did not add share count into TSLY, and we got a 76-cent distribution from TSLY, which gave us $361.54. This is an increase from $313.88 from last month. And of course, the distribution increased $65.98 to $76. So it seems that we're getting a distribution increase from TSLY so far. Hopefully they keep this up through June, July, and the rest of the year. Hopefully the distributions head their way back up to the $1 mark, but that's a little bit of a high hopes. Of course, the value of the shares themselves have to go up as well for that to happen. So hopefully we get that. Hopefully the value of the shares goes up. Hopefully the premium stays the same or increases as well, so we can hit that higher distribution. That leaves us with a total share count of 475.7143 as of end of May. Of course, this is not updated down here, but you can see it up here. And a total distribution so far for the year of $3.1799. And a total income earned of $1,483.26, or a total distribution received of $1,483.26. Next up, we have AMZY. AMZY is sitting still tight at 316 shares. As you can see, since the start of the year, we have not added any shares into AMZY, but this actually has changed. Last week, we did add, or I added shares into AMZY. I put roughly $500 into AMZY, I'm pretty sure. So I added a couple shares into that. I just put a huge amount into there rather than, just reinvesting a couple of dividends. I decided that was a better play for me to do. And that was actually coming after the video that I posted talking about the return of AMZY over the past year or so. So I decided, hey, why not throw some more money in there that I have laying around and put a little bit more share count. So you'll see in June the updated share count of AMZY. But for this distribution of May, we're sitting at 316.5008 shares. And we got a $79.63 dollar distribution, $0.7963 paid of distribution, or $252.03. A very, very high payment from AMZY, which is very, very nice. And you'll see this also with APLY next up. But we got $252.03. That's a increase from the $154.36. It's actually the highest payment we've gotten so far for the year of 2025, and the highest distribution we've got so far for the year of 2025. Of course, since we had no share growth, that makes sense for the being the reason of why there's such an increase. It was because of the distribution rather than share growth. So there's the highest we've gotten. It's almost double, pretty much almost double of all the 40-cent ones that we got throughout the year. So it's getting there. Hopefully, once again, it continues to stay high with AMZY, but probably it's going to continue to go back down to the 40-cent mark because that's where AMZY likes to stick around. That leaves us with 316 shares, 0.5008 owned by the end of the year, or so far in the 2 year. And we have a $2.6502 distribution so far from AMZY compared to TSLY's $3.1799. And a total income earned of $838.79, or total distribution received. Looking at APLY, or moving on to APLY. 303 shares, still holding strong since February. Haven't added any shares. So 4 months of still holding 303 shares. June will probably still be holding 303 shares. I don't think I've added anything into APLY. And we got a 6512, another almost double from all the distributions for this year. Actually, it does double some of these distributions from this past year at 6512 per share. And we've earned $197.37 from APLY for the month of May. That leaves us with a total of 303.0854 shares at the end of May, and we've earned a total of $1.9441 per share so far from AMZY for the year of 2025, and a total of $586.96 so far for the year of 2025. We also have GUI sitting at 334 shares, also has a move since February, March, April, May, still holding at 334. As you can see, I'm staying true to most of my videos. I don't reinvest all the reinvestments or all the dividends received. I've been putting into YMAX, into QDTE, into my option side of the portfolio, into SPYI, into JEPQ. So putting more money into the safer funds, redistributing my portfolio. Yes, it means I yield a little bit less. Yes, I have a little bit less yield growth. But GUI, APLY, AMZY stay consistent. TSLY varies, but it still pays somewhat consistent. And that's all I need, right? There's somewhat consistency, good enough for me. Yes, it varies plus or minus a couple dollars, but it's okay as long as it's stable. And we got $115.54 on that 34.49 distribution. This one did not double, stayed around once again the 30-cent mark, and this is what I mean about the consistency from some of these funds. So 30 cents, 30 cents, 30 cents, 30, all around the 30-cent mark, high almost towards the 40s. And received a total distribution per share of $1.7663 so far from GUI, and we're sitting at that 334.9993 shares. And the total income or distribution received so far of $588.39. Actually, beating APLY on the cash front, but not on the distribution part. So technically, we had more shares of APLY. We would actually be beating GUI, but the GUI, we do hold more shares. Now, actually be interesting to see what our average cost is on GUI compared to APLY. To see what the real value is, difference between GUI and APLY, and how this would look if you took the money invested in GUI and put it into APLY rather, and would that really make a difference? So, next up is AMDY. AMDY sitting at 244 shares, still not adding shares into it. Actually had 2 distributions for the month of May, one of which is getting paid this week at the time I'm releasing this video. And of course, I haven't received the dividends just yet. That's going to be coming out, getting received actually the day this video is being posted. Or the day after this is being recorded. It's being recorded on Thursday, coming out on Friday. And I've calculated how much I'll be receiving based on the share count and the distribution they released. So this distribution right here, 75.98, is adding up how much we're receiving from the beginning of the month and now the end of the month, and that adds up to 75.98 or $185.39 total received from AMDY for this month. And a total share count of 244 by the end of this month throughout this year where we're sitting right now, and $2.1122 or 2.0112 distribution so far from AMDY. So pretty high, actually, higher than GUI, higher than APLY. And is it higher than AMZY? It is not, but it's up there at $2.112 cents or whatever you want to count it. I'm just gonna say $2 straight to make it easier. And a total distribution or income received from AMDY of $473.22. So yep, we're beating all this months prior, but of course we got 2 payments, so it's kind of biased. We received 2 payments from AMD, so of course it's going to be higher than all this 1 payment months of AMD. So $185.39. Lastly, from YieldMax ETFs, we have YMAX. But before we look at this grand number for YMAX, let's go ahead and take a look at the specifics, right? The week breakdown of YMAX. So for May, week 1, we're sitting at 635 shares of 635.7015. We got a distribution of 1744. Received $110.87, and that was 28.18% higher than a week prior, which was back in last month of 600, which we got $86.49. Now, week 2, 639.8526 shares at 1679, and we received $107.43. That was a negative 3.10% decline compared to the week prior, week 1. Week 3, we had 643.8526 shares, and that was a 1910 distribution, and we got $122.98, or a 14.47% increase from the week prior. Week 4 was 648.3526 shares at $18.60 per share, or $120.59 earned, and that was a negative 1.94% negative 1.94% decrease from the week prior. And finally, since we had 5 weeks of payment from YMAX, technically for this month, for week 5, we had 654 shares, or 654.7026 shares, and we received $21.49 per share, earned $140.70, and had a 16.67% increase from the week prior. And so we had 3 green weeks, week over weeks, 28.18, 14.47, 16.67. If we didn't have this week 5, we would have 2 and a 2. And we got $602.56 total earned income for May. Of course, 5 weeks of payments makes kind of sense. If you look at last month, we had $363.29. If we did not have this payment right here, we can actually do the math really quick. If we delete this, if it lets me delete it, let me connect to my keyboard. Delete this. We're sitting at 461, so we'd still be higher than the week prior, or sorry, the month prior, even if we didn't have the week 5 payments. But since we do have the week 5 payments, we are 65.86% higher than month of, what was that, April, of $363.29. So we increased our income by 65.86%. If we didn't have this last week of payments, we would have been at 27.13%. And also this last week, or 5th week payment, was very high at $140.70. I think this is one of the highest we've received. If we take a look, yeah, it's one of the highest we received for this year of $140.70. So going back, we ended it at 654.7026 shares. Total distribution for this month from YMAX was 0.9342, and our total income earned from YMAX was $602.56. That leaves us at $2,040.73 earned from YMAX, a total distribution per share of $3.4027, and of course, we're sitting at 654.7026 shares. We earned a total for this month, just from YieldMax alone, $1,714.44, or a 53.69% increase from the last month, which was a 10.59% increase from its month before. So we've had 2 months of increase. Hopefully continue this to continue in this trajectory. I highly doubt it. It's because AMDY was going to have only 1 payment, right? AMDY is going to have 1 payment. YMAX is going to have 4 weeks of payments, I think. Unless maybe it's another 5. I don't think it's another 5-week payment. We'll see. I think it's another 4-week payment from YMAX. I don't think APLY and AMZY might have those strong as of dividends, but we'll see. Hopefully they do. So it's probably not. It's probably gonna be another red month. It might not be such a strong red month as like a negative 51.76. It might be around the negative 12, maybe even less in the single digits in the negatives. Or maybe just around the same as we earned this month, because we are increasing share count in YMAX. And of course, we did increase share count in AMZY as well. So there's that to be noted as well. And we're sitting so far for the month of May, so ending the 5th month of the year, we're sitting at $6,011.34 earned. So if you do the math really quick, if we have another 7 months ahead of us, let's say next month we earn like what, maybe 1,300-ish. So we'll be sitting around like 7,300-ish. Let's say 7,000 flat. To make the math easy, 7,000 flat. Add another 6 months on top of that, we'll be sitting around $14,000 earned just from YieldMax alone. Of course, this is not counting in the appreciation of value, or say, putting the income somewhere else outside of the portfolio or into other positions that have value depreciation or anything of that sort. We'll be sitting at roughly $14,000 in dividends received from YieldMax ETF. And this doesn't make up even most of our portfolio, which we're going to go ahead and continue to take a look at. So that's YieldMax ETFs. This is just showing that 197, 361, 252, 115, 185, and 602. So we went through YieldMax ETFs. We went through the breakdown. Let's continue now. HTGC. This is I think it's a quarterly paying, but they don't really pay quarterly. I really don't understand how they work. Sometimes they pay quarterly, sometimes they don't. It's kind of weird. But they paid $75.52. That's an increase from $73.67 from the month prior. We have EFC, which pays monthly $17.85, which is an increase from the months prior, as you can see. DHS, we sold out of. SEHH, we sold out of. RITM, we still hold, but that's a quarterly paying, an actual quarterly paying ETF, so they are not paying us until, of course, the next quarter. And then now we have another weekly, QDTE, which has paid us $229.80. Let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown. So for May, We were ending, actually, let me update this because this is looking at the wrong thing. There we go. So, I think I need to update all. Then we're doing live updates, just like Retire on Dividend does on his live streams. Okay, there you go. Live update. Actually, is it updated on? Does that mean it's updated here? It is not updated there, actually. So this is live updates while making the video. Give me one sec. 296. We forgot to update the numbers. 296.65. There we go. Now it's updated. So that should be all updated now. Forgot to change it out for the 5th week. So we ended off at 311 shares. Week 1, we had 249 shares at 249.3085. We got $21.81 per share for that first week. Earned $54.37. And that was actually a negative 9% decrease from the week before, week 4 of April, which we had the same share count roughly. And we got a higher distribution of $23.99 and earned $59.75. Week 2, we had 250 shares, or 250.0824. Received $30.75. Earned $76.90, and that was a 41.43% increase. Week 3, we had 251.1617 shares, earned $17.96, and received $45.11, which was a negative 41.34. Week 4, 310 shares. As you can see, we added a bunch of shares into QDTE, 36.17. You might be asking, how did we do this? Well, I actually exited my TNA position, or 4 contracts worth of my TNA position. Had a little cash lying around, decided to throw into QDTE, into SPYI as well, I think. And also the AMZY position is how we got the cash for that. So 310.3617 shares. We received a total dividend of $17.21, earned $53.41. That was an 18.41% increase from the week prior. Week 5, we're at 311.1117 shares, and received a $21.49 distribution per share, $66.86, and a 25.17% increase. So as you can see, we increased from 251 to 310. Of course, this is bias. This is not bias. This is not just from dividends reinvestments alone. We added cash from the outside source into QDTE, and that's why we had this large increase, and also why we had this large percentage increase as well. So technically, this would have been a worse performing week if we did not add these shares. But this, of course, week 5 would still be a good performing week. So now that we've finished up or changed the calculations up here to actually add up to the correct numbers, we're sitting at 311 shares, as mentioned before, $1.922 share, or $1.09 pretty much, paid per share, or paid in total for the whole month of May. $296.65 received, and that's a 36.88% increase from the month prior, which was $216.73. And even as you guys saw before I did the correction, even if we did not have week 5 included, that would still been an increase. We delete this really quick, it would have been a 6% increase. So QDT also performed well. Week 5 also assisted it, and also the increase of share count assisted it as well. So now that we have that, $296.65, we've corrected that. We have JEPQ, which paid us $31.77, and SPYI that paid us $44.58. You can see the increase from $22.95 to $44.58 is large. That is because I added shares, like I mentioned before, from the TNA sale. And also JEPQ, JEPQ and SPYI, I'm reinvesting 50% of QDTs and YMAX dividends into JEPQ and into SPYI. So they're getting a growth in share count faster than if they were just reinvesting their own dividends. So using weeklies to invest into monthlies, and then monthlies reinvest back into themselves. And that's why we got the high increase from $24.67 to $31.77. And of course, the addition of cash into SPYI, and that's $22.95 to $44.58. So you guys probably saw the top part of it. Our total for this month from dividends is $2,194.07. That's a 50.61% increase. Of course, that is to thank to week 5 payments from YMAX and QDTE. Also to thank to AMDY, where we got another payment from AMDY. And of course, the high payments from AMZY and APLY. And of course, TSLY, assuming that it continues to trend that way, or maybe it was just a one-time fluke. So yes, good payment from dividends. Options, not so much. So let's go ahead and move on to options. TNA, $584. Yes, TNA actually earned us income unlike the month prior in April of $148. On the other hand, SPYI, $502 compared to $1,486 earned the month prior. The reason why I earned so much in April, as you guys may or may not know, is because when the market was going down, I went down with it with my covered calls, allowing me to earn more income. The reason I earn less now of $502 is because now I had to make my way back up, and it's a little bit hard to go back up when the market's moving 10%, 20% in a matter of a month. So yeah, $502 earned, not the greatest, but if you think about it, if you split 1,486 in between the 2 months, not even if you take a couple dollars off April, put it into this month, it's still around that $800 trajectory that we're looking for, right? You add $502 to 1,486, that gives you roughly almost $2,000 or $1,000 between the 2 months, which beats our $800 that we're looking for from the 2 contracts that we own. So that leaves us in total of $1,000 or $1,086 earned, or negative 33.54% in option income compared to the month prior. We can take a look at all the trades I've done. So May 2nd, May 2nd, May 2nd, 3 trades done, 2 contracts SPY, 4 contracts of TNA, 6 contracts of TNA. We from 555 to 558 for SPY. That's a week out, $104. From TNA, the 4 contracts, 27 to 28. Week out, $80. Stayed at 36 at the 36 mark for TNA, 6 contracts. That was a 3 weeks out, $72. Then we had May 7th, we did a 558 to 563 right here. 1 week out, $232. May 8th, we went from 28th to 29th. Another week out, we made $88. May 15th, we did 3 trades on May 15th, 563 to 567, made $166. And that was towards the end of the month. The reason is because we had to move our contracts upwards, because we were getting caught in the money. And of course, if you look at this number, actually 563 to 567, you might be asking, well, aren't you technically in the money now? Because SPY is trading at around the 590 mark. Yes and no. I actually had to trade my way back up. And that's not shown on this graph because this was actually being a trade, or I have to trade my way back up. And it's not being shown on this graph because it's not June yet and I haven't made the trade. So I'm going to have to make a trade up in June. Once we get to the June 6th mark, see where the market is, see how much I have to pay. If I have to pay, hopefully I don't. And hopefully everything turns out well. But that we'll have to see. But that made us $166. May 15th, 29 to 30. We made $236, and then another May 15th, 36, the 23rd to the 6th of June, $108. And these 4 contracts are the ones I sold. So the Leaps contracts on the bottom end, I sold. I think I earned roughly $3,500 from that, or maybe even $4,000. No, I think it was $3,500 I earned from that. This is after the depreciation of these contracts. That is because TNA fell. TNA fell a little bit. So therefore, they depreciated. I was able to sell off the lower half and then buy back the upper half for a cheap cost. So made that $236. I think I paid a little bit more for it, and also made $3,500 on the upper side, and used that money to put into QDTE, SPYI, and into AMZY. So that is the option trades I've done. And of course, you could probably do the math already. $2,194, $1,086. How much have I made at the end of May? For this month, I made $3,280.07, or a 6.12% growth month over month from the $3,090.82 earned in April. Of course, we're continuing to increase back up. As you guys know, April was a hard hit into the portfolio. The tariffs were not that great for April. Even before the month of April, as you can see, what was this? What's before April? I'm really bad at months. We went too high. We had March. Don't know why I'm forgetting the months. Long day. March, we made $2,744.35. April, we made $3,090, and that's because of the help of options, which helped us on the way down. But now we got caught in the month of May. But we still ended up on the high side of $3,280.07 thanks to the dividends. So a great part about having a different multi-strategy portfolio. You have your options. If they do bad, dividends can help you. If dividends do bad, options can help you, right? So you can use both parties to help you out. And then, of course, if both do bad, then it's just a bad month. If both do good, it's a really good month, right? And we saw that previously over here when we had 1,459, 1,887, and made $3,346.20 in February. So just how it works. But not a bad month. $3,280.07. Continue to increase our income month over month. Hopefully it continues over and over. Hopefully the dividends continue over and over. Because like I mentioned before, this is something I'm looking at very strongly now. Because before I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and focus on option income. What can go wrong? Buy SPY leaps. SPY never goes down, or S&P never goes down, and if it ever does or recovers, and then you learn that first of all, don't get greedy. I got greedy, had to pay the price for it. Probably will still have to pay the price for it in June, but that is yet to come. So don't get greedy. Trade at the levels you're okay with. Make the income you're okay with. That's with options, and also don't go too much into it. I went hard into S&P 500 and into the leaps, into poor man covered call strategy. I'm learning my lesson from that. So now I'm, like I said before, I'm taking a little pullback on buying more contracts instead of I'm taking that income and redistributing it into dividends income. As you guys may already know, each contract is around $9,000-ish, 8,000, 9,000, right? So I have 2 of those. That's roughly almost $20,000 in leaps contracts. So that's a really big part of my portfolio. My portfolio is not too large. So I think it's currently sitting around the 65, maybe 70K mark. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while, with margin value and cash value. So yeah, it's a big part of my portfolio, 20K. It's close to like 30% of my portfolio, maybe even 40 if we're pushing it. No, actually I think it's 30% of my portfolio, not something I want. So I'm trying to cut that down. So redistribute the income we earn, redistribute the value we earn on our account into more stable income like SPYI, QDTE, JEPQ, SGOV for bond yields, have a cash supply just in case that holds the margin buffer, right? Redistribute into that and get that up. I'm looking for something maybe like an 80-20 split. So 20% of the portfolio is in options and 80% is not. Maybe even a 90-10, that's pushing it. That's going to be a lot of income you need for that. So say, I wanted to have another contract with SPY, that would be roughly like $8,000. I would have to then have 90%, or that would be 10% of my value. So we did the math on that really quick. If I could do the math on that real quick, I need $100,000, right? 90%, well, not 90% with 90,000 would be in dividends, and then 10% would be in the leaps contracts. So that's a lot of income you need split between. So 80-20 is still a lot. 75-25 is a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Currently where we sit, it's definitely looking like a large split. But that's just for safety reasons. That's just something I'm looking at in my portfolio. Like I said also before in other videos, margin, especially using now W2 income to invest into the portfolio and then taking that out of margin and doing that whole skit is helping, is something I'm looking at as well. So for that, you need margin buffer, you need little margin requirements, you need safety. So yeah, whole pool of things, rebalancing the portfolio, figuring out what works, what doesn't. It's the whole point of this, right? We lose, we win, but end of the day, you want to win on the long term, and the way to do that is have stable positions, low risk tolerance, because all investing is just risk tolerance and risk aversion, or what's the proper word of that? Just being very good at risk, right? Managing risk correctly. That's all investment is. Don't take the risk you don't need to. If you're going to take a risk, make it 5-10% of your portfolio, and that's pretty much it. Be risk averse, right? I think that's the correct way to say it. Risk averse. Be good with your money. It's easy to make, it's hard to keep. Great phrase right there. So forgot who said that one, but I know someone probably smart said it. So yeah, that's been me. That's been the income for the month of May. And I'll see you guys, of course, like always, at the end of every single month to go over how much I made. And of course, throughout the weeks of every single week I post, we'll be talking about other things that are happening in the markets with its ETFs and my portfolio in general, and where my ideas and brain is going with the portfolio. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week for next week's video, whatever that is, whatever I decide to do. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.